Well, with our howdies out of the way, let's perform our duties, our howdy duties. And like the others, we are going to begin by making one sorcerer that is tied just to the core rulebook, and this perhaps could give us a feel for the power level if there's any power creep that this subclass is going to have. Then we're going to open it up, and we could have Magic the Gathering plane shift races or backgrounds and all sorts of splat material for 5th ed. So before we begin, if any of you would like to spend inspiration, and inspiration looks like that. It is the black exclamation point over the yellow explosions. Then you can lock in your roll for a particular trait of the character. Hey, Crumb Draw Day. Do you want to roll for feats? Race? Background? Now, what is fixed already, we already know that we are going to have a sorcerer, a Clockwork sorcerer that is going to be level 20. And so the first, to go over... Ooh, pardon me. I really shouldn't hold my sneezes. I keep saying that and I do it. So we have character sex and multi-class. Our race and possible sub-race. Thank you, Overhype. Alignment. Ability score improvement or feats. Background. And then, of course, in the background, you can roll for personality traits or IBF, ideal, bond, and flaw. And sometimes there is an additional roll for the background that could specify some kind of a direction that background took you. We already have our class and our subclass locked in. And then we come down for the age range as a roll. And then the particular age within it, as well as our height and our weight modifier. And perhaps even a trinket of some kind, too. Let me load up the queue. Alright, so I see that, Chris has background, Machi has race, Kromdrade, you want to switch to IBF, that's fine. Silver Pirate, Machi already has, the race roll. And Fat Jesus would like the alignment roll. Silver, what would you like to change yours to? We have personality traits. Hey, O'Sheeps. We have personality traits. We have the roll to determine the character's sex or if it's going to be a multi-class character. Okay, Chris. Okay, Silver. Well, I'll tell you what then, why don't you get us started? Silver Pirate, will you please roll a D100 in chat to get us going on this character? It works very well, doesn't it? I hope it's not too overpowering, Kromdrade. It's exclamation point roll, ROLL, space 1D100. Oh, what was dropped off to you, Machi? Exclamation point roll, R-O-L-L. There we go. All right, we rolled a 23. We have a female character. And now we're going to go over to Machi, who is going to roll a D9 in chat to determine the race. Oh, that'll be really cool. I'd love to see a picture of it when you finish with it, Machi. And you know what? Actually, there is a Japanese technique where broken things are repaired by gold. And that might make for a very interesting effect, and that is thematic as well. Yep, exactly. Kintsugi. If you can find a way to do that, or even if you epoxy it, but you paint gold on top, that would be really cool. So, you rolled a D9. We got a 3. We have an elf. We have an elf. Now, there are 3 types of elf. And, oh, sheeps. Would you roll a D3 in chat to determine which kind of elf we have? Yes, please. We've got a 1. We have a drow. Let's start filling this out. We have a female drow. They are medium-sized creatures. Now we're going to come down to alignment. And Fat Jesus, will you please roll a D100 in chat, and we'll use the balanced odds to determine. Rolled a 49. She is true neutral. Well, we'll find out. Let's get into her personality. Remember, the alignment alone is not an indicator of the character's temperament or personality. It is one metric that will make it up, because alignment is more how she expresses herself, but it doesn't actually get into who she cares about or why she cares about the things or people she does. Hey, Lethality. We already have our character level, and so now we need to determine, are we going to take ability score improvements, feats, or a mix of both? So actually, Lethality Complex, would you please type exclamation point roll space 1D100? Rolls of 51. We're taking all stat bumps. We're au naturel. Now it's time for the background. And Chris, you had locked in the roll for the background. Chris, would you please roll a D18 in chat? Oh wait, yeah, Crumdrade as well. Went for it. And Crumdrade, we gotta assign something else for you here. Rolled an 11. She is a noble. We have a noble drow. Now, there's no sort of like sub-background for this, but we will get to choose if she takes position of privilege or retainers. And Fat Jesus, the reason why I weighted it, it was a decision I made because I don't want every character to have a feat. At least one, because there may be tables that don't allow for it. And many people just end up taking stat bumps anyway. And so I weighted it so that 65% of the rolls are going to be all stat bumps. And then amongst the other levels, there's an increase in how many feats we might take to splash it in. So really, it was my call to come up with what percentage of characters that we make might have a feat of some kind. Yeah, lethality. You sent it to me right as I was going live. I saw the notification, but I didn't see the message, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Oh yeah, that's right. You went with IBF. Got it. Yeah, feats used to be 75%, and I actually rolled it back 10%. And I actually added that 10% into one. I split it into 1 or 2 feats, so there's a slightly higher chance to at least get a character with 1 feat included. Estwild, hello. Estwild, would you please type !roll space 2d8 to give us our personality traits? And then, Cromdrade, you can give me a 3d6 roll for the ideal bond and flaw. Because we'll just add that in right now. Our personality traits are number 1 and number 7. And then our ideal bond and flaw in order will be... Five, 2, 4. Y'all digging the music? We are a Drow. Now let's determine her age. Fat Jesus says, I understand coming from playing lots of 3-5 before 5e, I really miss picking cool feats often. There's so many feats I want to pick for my 5e character, but his stats are so atrocious, I'll probably need to take ability scores. Did you roll your stats, or did you do the standard array, or how did you end up with that? And remember, Fat Jesus, in 5th edition, things are pretty flat, and so having atrocious stats is like... You know, if you have a bunch of 10s across the board, later on you'll probably start having some trouble. Unless maybe you have some magical help or something along those lines. But it's difficult to have a bad character. I mean, in 5th ed, you can have an epic, you know, whatever, a 20th level. Technically in 5th edition, epic level starts at 17 and goes to 20. You can get away with not maxing out your score to 20. And you can still hit, and enemies are still going to have difficulty saving against your stuff. Yeah, and, you know, Silver, some DMs might say, you know what? Everyone take a feat. I guess if you're a variant human, take 2. You know, sometimes the DM just allows for that to happen. Otherwise, you know, all you need, you know, to keep it simple, because 5e really is a... It's supposed to be delivered on a very simple engine here. You don't need feats. They're fun, but there are things that, you know, they go out of their way to say that these are options. They do not have to be included. No avail. Hello. You ask for a point buy? All right. I'm the boring one and says go standard array then. Yep, I'm the boring one then. Hi. No avail, would you help us generate this character by typing !roll space 1d100? Rolled a 10. We have a young adult Drow. And then, let's see. Who do we have here? Fluffy Sheep. Fluffy, will you please type !roll space 1d6 plus 11? All right, she is 12 years old. Now, bear in mind that the age distribution is a biological age based on the ultimate lifespan of each of the races. In the player's handbook, it indicates that the age of majority that is either legally or culturally accepted for elves is 100. However, they mature at a similar rate as humans do. And so as a young adult, she is in this phase of her life for a shorter period of time than the other phases come along. And in your world, maybe they age and they're considered the age of majority earlier or even later. That might be the case. And you know what? That's why I just asked for the standard array. But I'm not against I don't want anyone to think I'm against dice rolling or I'm against point buy. That's not the case. Estwald, you've been looking into Dungeon Crawl Classics. Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's kind of get back to the old school feel that Fat Jesus was talking about. In fact, Chris, I think Chris, it was you last night that said 1 week, why don't we actually roll for the stats of the characters that we generate, and go from there. And I think that could be a fun thing to do for a workshop. Chris says, in my current game, we were given choice of standard array or rolling. I was the only one to choose the roll. It was you? All right. Yeah, I think that'd be a fun thing to do. Maybe we can pick that up in March or somewhere down the line. We'll have a... I guess the question would be, is this hard mode where the stats we roll automatically start in strength and go down to intelligence? And then also... Are we randomly rolling the class as well? And so we'll actually start with the stats to lock them in. We wouldn't start, we'd go with the background and all that. But we would, we know that we're building a wizard, but then our stat might give us an 8 in intelligence, which, would make for a very interesting wizard. Novale says, I'm thinking of having each person roll one stat, and the whole table uses the set created by the group. Ah, okay. Yeah, so you make a pool of them. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Go down to Charisma. Sorry, I had the wizard example preloaded in my brain. Fluffy Sheep only says characters can only have 2 stats. Estwild, I like that the system takes the choice off the player, and more clearly lets you roll the dice and have the table decide, and then root for who survives. Yeah, lasers and feelings, or even tactical waifu can work for a 2 stat. Yeah, that'd be fun to do. Yep, and Silver, that's why I love the workshop that we run, because we do make characters that come to life and aren't just stat blocks. All right, we have our young adult. We need to know how tall she is. And let's go with... well, Cold Spark, Cold Spark, you want to roll some dice here. Cold Spark, roll 1d6, please. And we're going to make this her height modifier. 4. So she's 4'9". And then that is, that's going to be multiplied by her weight modifier. Which, you know, it's a d6. Honestly, that could probably just be made into a 1, like with halflings and gnomes. And so that will make her 79 pounds at 4'9". And we have a cat. Very good. So we no longer, well, for the most part, we don't need to have any more rolls, though we are going to have a roll for a trinket, which is going to be a part of her her signet, or the to show which house she belongs. Meow, I know. All the meows. Every single meow. All right, class, Chapter 4. You knew this was coming. This is a workshop night. Chapter 4 backgrounds. We're going to go to N for nobility. Hermit, Outlander. I passed it. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. There's noble. Oh, she's spoiled. She's spoiled. And... LF, thank you for the follow. Welcome, welcome. As a noble, we're going to get proficiency with history and persuasion. We're going to have a tool proficiency of some kind of a gaming set. Fat Jesus, will you please roll a D4 in chat? A 2, that is chess. And we're going to get a language of our choice, and as a drow, we can speak Common, Elven. Do they also get Undercommon? Or is it Undercommon in place? We'll check it out. Though we're going to float our extra language. We'll see that soon enough. And then some equipment, some fine clothes, a signet ring, proof of pedigree, and we can have this be a trinket of some kind. And Crumdrade. Oh, thank you very much, Diesel Shot. Welcome with your raiding party. A very colorful message. Welcome, Diesel, to our game. Well, to our workshop about a game. Diesel, tell me, what were you all doing before you decided to come visit us? Yeah, hello, raiding party. Actually, Diesel, you can help us make this character real quick. Can you please type !roll space 1D100? Oh, 12-sided playing D&D 5e in a homebrew campaign. Ah, all right. Yeah, welcome, Raiders. Share your idea, Lethality. If 12-sided, a D100. You've come to plunder the valuables from our shores. Well, I can tell you that the greatest thing we have of value here, Diesel, is our noggins. And so if you're here, then you're coming in for the big brain energy that we have going on in chat. Rolled a 22. All right. So the proof of her pedigree is trinket number 22. Saint Celine, she could bring people back from the dead, which is pretty miraculous. What is the context for the idea, lethality? Brains are portable. They often seem to end up in jars or other containers as well, even after exiting their homegrown container. Yes, I, for one, welcome our new Mind Flayer overlords. We are also going to get a purse containing 25 gapuz. Now, we haven't decided her background feature just yet, because we don't really know much about her. She could take position of privilege or retainers, and we'll make that decision after we discover more about who this character is. Ah, gotcha. Make sure then, lethality, make sure you include that in a DM as well. It's kind of like a sticky note. That way, it doesn't fall out of my ear by the end of the night, and I just go, what? Okay, and yeah, we're gonna take a look at the Drow in just a little bit. We start with the background here in our workshop because the background is what gives our character. We already know she's a sorcerer. We already know she's a Drow. And that can have, influential elements on the character, but our character has thoughts and feelings. We need to understand the basis upon which she makes decisions. And the best way to go about that, and I'm so happy that backgrounds are a part of 5th edition character creation, is by beginning with the background. In fact, we will not add ability scores until almost the very end. The ability scores are a way to translate your character into a mechanical setting. The scores will not matter for who she is. And let's discover that right now. And hello, Van Sunny. I'm going to give you a howdy. Her personality. Now remember, she expresses herself in a neutral fashion, true neutral. And how will that be reflected in, well, let's start with personality trait number 1. My eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world. So, she speaks very with a flourish, and she flatters others. Now, whether that's genuine or not, it's going to depend on her decision to express herself that way. But we do know that she flatters others, probably uses very colorful language. And what is her other personality trait? My favor, once lost, is lost forever. If you scorn her, if you upset her, if you fail her again for the last time, Starscream, then she will turn her nose up at you and not have anything more to do. Now, her ideal is family. Blood runs thicker than water. She is all about her family. Her family comes first. She is a representative of her family to others, and so she comports herself in a way that will bring honor, glory, wealth, recognition, anything that is valued in the society in which she operates to her family. Her bond is number 2. My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. In this case, we might have someone who has been raised to continue a bond, right? She's being brought up properly. She's being taught etiquette. She's being taught the things to say, the things that you should do, how to be a little noble. Because it might already be that the two families have already prearranged that when the day comes that she is going to marry into this other family, and it will continue the bond or strengthen the bond that's already there. And so maybe she's facing an arranged marriage situation. And so she has been groomed into this for her life and lifestyle because she is an extension of her family. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where this takes us. And lastly, our flaw is number 4, and that is I have an insatiable desire for carnal pleasures. All right. This is where we don't have to suddenly feel awkward. We don't have to blush, because in the grand scheme of character creation or of all the stories that can be told, let's talk about it, right? Context at the tabletop is everything. Hey, Infernizard, it's good to see you back. Welcome. So here we have a prompt that indicates that she is interested in things that are probably beyond her years, culturally, physiologically, depending on the societal laws or cultural norms. Even her parents who know that she's going to marry into this other family and, produce kids or whatever. So we have this as a prompt. Now, what do we do with this? We can look at this in a couple different ways. If we at the tabletop are not comfortable, with something that has come up. And this is an excellent exercise in this. And Machi, you're getting to another point. Oh, Ed Crumdrum. See, look, I mean, y'all are already starting to think about it. You're beating me to it, which is absolutely fine. So, the first point is, she is a young woman who is entering into adulthood and already knows that the future is going to hold, marriage and kids and all this other stuff. As she's coming to an age, this doesn't mean that she has to indulge or actually act physically upon the desires that she has. Cromdrade hinted maybe she just, kind of sneaks the Harlequin novels, I guess whatever the Drow, the Drow version of like Victorian romance novels or something. Maybe she kind of has them in a shoebox under her bed, or she, hides them under her mattress, kind of a thing. Because now look, I'm not saying that it has to be brought up or anyone has to confess, but how many of you were around this age when suddenly perhaps similar things started happening? Did the old Victoria's Secret catalog go missing from the mail? Or I guess we're in the age of internet now, so who needs a physical catalog? Yeah, exactly. She's curious. And so if you have a player that's willing to, to play this character, someone who she's been brought up to be an adult, but yet she's not. And so and also everything has been so contained in her life, she might just indulge in the thought of wild, like, what if I escaped my house and I went out and I did find, I found my prince with the long flowing hair and the rippling biceps and in the hithertofore ne'er, nether and nairs kind of a thing. Machi says, we all know the Drow version of those novels involve too much silk. Oh, yeah, Dark Eldar? Yeah. 50 Shades of Silk, says Silver. National Geographic? Yeah, hey, it's cultural. And so, we have it, if we're not comfortable that she acts upon it, and I can understand that, then this is a character who has been brought up to be a proper young lady, but darn it, she would have that wild desire. Like, what is it like to actually be, a woman as either like a noble? Because look, if you're growing up in nobility, you've probably heard some things. Or even if she considers the peasantry in some way, probably her parents might have been, the peasants, such simple rutting beasts. And so suddenly, while the parents talk about them with derision, we have a character who has legitimate curiosity about things that are adult in nature. And perhaps everyone at the table is much more comfortable with that. That she does, she sneaks away, or, maybe her flaw is that she has, she carries herself properly, but she always seems to kind of like linger at a windowsill and peek in because maybe there's something there going on. Something that would expand her mind and help her realize the lifestyle outside of what she was brought up to be. I got on this, and so that was the Harlequin novels, and yeah, desire's not the same as experiencing it. So it's curiosity, and so yeah, we can take this as a prompt. Oh, and something we can do as well, if you don't want to take carnal pleasures simply as sexual pleasures, if it's still something else that's bodily, what if she just loves to eat? Similar situation. She's brought up proper to drink tea properly. I guess maybe Drow do put their pinkies out or something. So she has proper amounts of food, proper amounts of tea. She knows how to, consume the limited quantities that she's been given. She, if given the chance, might honestly just pig out. I mean, we're talking like Goku from Dragon Ball Z in front of a bowl of rice. And if that's the case, that is still a bodily pleasure in a way. Because she's actually, she's experiencing something she's not allowed to have. And it's satisfying her hunger. On Skooma. Oh, they start... No, who's dealing to 12-year-old Drow? And yeah, maybe she stuffs her face full of sweets when no one's looking. And in that case, we still have like a cute and endearing figure who is, we're still going by the prompt, but you have someone who carries herself. Excuse me, I am Princess so-and-so of the Drow house, etc., and so forth. And then, sometime during the adventure, another party member is gonna hear noises from behind a door, because she'll get her own room at the inn or something, and they're gonna come in because they're hearing like weird noises and even like a groan or something like that, and then they kick in the door, and they're in the shadows because she has 120 feet of dark vision. She doesn't need light. They're just kind of turning around with big hamster cheeks stuffed full of chocolate is just this little Drow like this little drow royal. Just close the door and go away. You saw nothing. Tip, 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 tip. And so you can have a lot of fun with this as well. And this could even be, you know, maybe she likes to dress up in some way. You know, she's tired of wearing proper clothes. She wants to know what it's like to roll around in blue jeans and a t-shirt, kind of an equivalent in your fantasy world. So, again, context at your table matters. If you're comfortable with any of those options, play with those options. Yeah. I mean, if there's not a way to make them tactful or at least contextual, because we've established a context, and I don't want to feel like I'm trying to suppress thoughts and expression. It's just that the way that we do it, I prefer it in a PG-13 medium as we're having a conversation. I don't know who that is, Silver. But yeah, and howdy, Death. It's good to have you back again. So yeah, you know, here we busted our little drow princess for stuffing her face, or because we caught her dressing up in jeans and a shirt or something like that. Or you caught her with the you know, you caught her with a wood elf romance novel amongst the drow. How dare you? As she wonders, you know, I'm tired of being a doll of the family. I want to be the woman that I'm told that I am, but I'm not allowed to be. However you want to take it, go with it, run with it. You finished your game an hour ago, was doing some after stream stuff. Well, I hope that went well. And Death, if you're on our Discord, you are always welcome to share your stream. We have a channel explicitly for that so that community members can share what they do with each other. Oh, gotcha. And yeah, and that is actually lethality. See, you brought up something. You brought up something which is also important. I mean, obviously the meta context at the table among the players and the DM is important. What are the drow like in your world? Now we can make this character like the drow that we know from Forgotten Realms or the like, in whole or in part. Maybe the drow in this case are simply, you know, just another elf type. Hey, Chill Pandana. We are making our first Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. We have a Fat Jesus. If you want to share that, there's a place called Your Finds. Pardon, Your Finds on our Discord, and you're welcome to share that there. Yep, we have a drow noble going through puberty. Oh, by the way, lethality. You may enjoy that we made a character last night, and while we didn't discuss her name prior to starting this, I decided to give her one. Well, it's up to you. It's up to you. All right. So now, look at this. Everyone, we have a character. At this moment, we have a character. It doesn't matter that we don't have numbers on this sheet. It doesn't matter that do we know how many torches she carries. It doesn't matter if we know if she has a dagger on her belt or if she uses a bow and arrow or whatever, or a light crossbow. We have our character. We have her heart and soul. How she makes decisions, how she grows up. What does she look for in the future? What does she value? Hey, Quingar, welcome. Yeah, so we actually broke it up. One workshop was discussing love and unity just as a discussion, and then last night we actually made a unity cleric and a love cleric. Now let's discover who she is as a drow. And this is more mechanical than it is cultural, because the drow in your world could be very different. In my homebrew world, elves are the shortest lived race. They naturally die around 30, 35. Well, they did. Things changed. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, our dexterity score increases by 2 as per elf. Elf as an elf as an elf. Dex is 2. We have a base speed of 30 feet, 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. We get, normally as an elf, 60. As a drow, we get 120 feet of dark vision. Keen senses, you have proficiency in the perception skill, and there we go. We have Fey ancestry. Oh, by the way, you know something we need to determine, everyone? Does she have the position of privilege? Which probably sounds like is what she has, given who she is and what she's meant to do. Though, if you think that she'd have retainers instead, do you think that she'd have, valets or butlers or maids following her around? I think position of privilege is really strong for her background feature, given everything that we just discussed, though. So she's going to have Fey ancestry, which is going to give us advantage versus being charmed. And we cannot be magically put to sleep. We also get to trance. So we can take, once per day, a long rest over 4 hours, in which case we're actually still kind of conscious. Speak, read, and write common and elvish. Well, I put elven, Now, for the subrace, we have drow. Our charisma score increases by 1. Our dark vision's 120 feet. We also have sunlight sensitivity. We also know drow magic. You know the dancing lights cantrip. So I'm going to put DM for drow magic. Dancing lights. And then when we reach 3rd level, we're going to cast Fairy Fire. Once per long rest, and at 5th level, darkness. So that's gonna come down here. And for drow magic, we're going to put dancing lights, drow magic, fairy fire, once per long rest, and this is based off of charisma. Drow magic is also going to give us darkness, once per long rest, off of charisma. While I'm here on the magic page, let's just give her her spell slots. Very good. We're casting as a sorcerer, off of charisma, and we carry sorcerer points. Very good. And we have drow weapon training. So in addition to what we're going to learn as a sorcerer, we have proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. So I'm going to put under weapons, drow and sorcerer, because sorcerer is a curated list, and I don't want to list every individual, especially between the two sources. Besides, when we calculate this, we're going to say what she attacks with off of strength weapons and dex weapons. Fat Jesus says going with the position of privilege is fine. Chill Panda says, I've made my world drow like cave elves, but elves are more fey beings in something like a mix of dryads and beast-like creatures. Oh, interesting. Chill says, I like the idea of retainers who give her more stress than actual help. And no sooner do we mention battle maids than Nina Wang shows up. I do like running the Drow as another kind of elf who like it underground. Have a good night, Silver. Means that you can play around with temples of Elistray. Chill says the Drow weaponry sound just like weapons rogues use. Well, given the society that you're grown up in. And hi, Bubonic One. Oh, Noah Vale. Hey, thank you for joining us. Noah Vale, I'm sorry that you weren't able to see the character brought out to completion, though I hope along the way you had fun and that you like how we're approaching building a character from nothing more than some random dice rolls. Alright, so we know that we're a noble who happens to be a drow, and that drow so happens to have sorceress abilities. We're going to add 20 levels of sorcerer, excluding the subclass. At level 20, we have a +6 proficiency. Proficiency bonus, in particular. We have 20 sorcery points, wouldn't you know? We have 6 cantrips. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I guess we'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And our spell slots are, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. As a sorcerer, we are a D6 hit die class, and so we have 20 D6 that we can spend on a rest to recover ourselves. Chill says, I feel this is the purest means of creating a character, not through previous thought and ahead of time creation, but raw dice rolls. And yes, and so Chill, we do it for a couple reasons. Beyond, you know, there's an entertainment value, but we do it because we all have natural biases. Maybe some of us really like elves, and most of the time we tend to play elves, and we're comfortable with elves, and so we might skew in an elven direction. Or maybe there's those of us who really like playing clerics, or fighters, or barbarians. Or there's those of us who are just used to making a warlock that always has maximum charisma. In this workshop, we've made fully functional Charisma 10 warlocks. Absolutely functional, without really any sort of special consideration or needs. And so you are correct, Chill. This is removing our personal biases and getting us to shake up, you know, to shake the dust off of the things that we might otherwise be used to, and to imagine a unique character that could very well be different than something we're used to playing. And here, have any of you ever thought about playing like a 12-year-old drow princess? Maybe you never have. But by the time we're done with the workshop, you might sit back and say, you know what? I can get into this character. I understand this type of a character, how she would make her decisions. And maybe the next time you play, you want to have a character like this. And all because we shook up our brains a little bit. Yeah. It really comes down to if the decisions are taken out of your hands and then given back to you to interpret personally. Nina says, I just can't get into spellcasters. The spell slots kill it for me. I just want to pew pew forever. And yeah, warlocks have two, for the most part, They have 2 spell slots. That's it. And aside from that, you can pew pew with Eldritch Blast or a whole lot of other cantrips and other things. And so, you know, it would be up to you then. Which entity would you like to make a pact with, Nina? Yeah, Crumdrade. Exactly. We're using our big brains. Big brains here in this workshop. All right, we get no armor proficiencies. Here's our sorcerer weapon proficiencies, no tool proficiencies. And then we have our saving throws, which is Constitution and Charisma. Now we get to choose 2 skills from this list. And we already have... Actually, none of these are repetitive. Oh, hey, well, thank you very much. Scale and Scroll. I like the name. Welcome, and thanks for the follow. Oh, and Chill, what you were saying as well, it came up last night where, you know, perception is often taken as a meta skill. Like, oh, yeah, someone's got to have perception on a team. Something like that. Ooh, pardon. Or it's just default. I can't make a decision. I'm just going to take perception because I could probably almost always use it. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad way to do it. But for the characters that we make here, Chill Panda, we reference who our character is. These selections are made off of their personality. And if not their personality, then a couple of the other features we still randomly rolled. With that in mind, we can choose 2 from Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion. Given who she is and what she is, which 2 skills do you think she would actually have cultured? You know, that she has a proficiency in. My eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world. I'm sorry, we already do have persuasion from being a noble. My favor, once lost, is lost forever. Intimidation, she is neutral. True neutral. My favor, once lost, is lost forever. Her family, she was brought up as a symbol of her family, as the future generation of her family, and she is all about family. My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. And that could even be, that could lead into something like deception or intimidation. I have an insatiable desire for carnal pleasures was the flaw. And for anyone coming in here new, we had a discussion about ways that we could interpret that for the character. Oh, you want to form a pact with Nyarlathotep. All right. Chris, deception for one. If she is being brought up, then even the eloquent flattery may be a deception instead of being earnest. Razio, welcome back. Hey, and good morning, Clicker. Good to see you back again. All right, so we're thinking deception and... what else is here? Cold Spark, you have a youngling character in the works for D&D time. Just need to get in story a couple times for Odo to get ready for the SAS battle. Oh yeah, that'll be a big one. Chill, so you base the way they act and feel by the skills they become proficient with over time? No, the skills come... We're choosing our skills, at least the skills that we're getting a choice on. We're choosing those based on who she is. Hiding her flaw, protecting her family and allies. I like it. And yeah, and that could actually end up turning into a tragic story, Chill Panda. Well, Rozzy, I know. Unfortunately, you always you want to talk and brew like anytime I'm not available because I'm broadcasting or something else. I'd love to help you otherwise. But hey, we're doing some character creation and some other inspirational stuff here. You know, you're welcome to hang out with us. And if you have questions or want some input, you're welcome to ask it here too. Might I say, if we have developed these abilities as a sorcerer, and this could mean that we have also been given arcane training so that we can understand our gifts better. And if we're talking about things like a particular noble's pedigree, and we're talking about sorcerers and sorceresses that have bloodlines and can inherit certain skills and abilities, then knowing history is important, right? Knowing your family's crest and their colors, knowing the secular history of the region is important, something you're taught. If also you have been bred, in a sense, through prearranged marriages or other things, to carry on a family legacy of magical blood, per being a sorcerer. You may also have been given an arcane instruction, so that when your powers manifest, you understand them more. And that the arcane history is very important than just the secular history. Oh, yeah, chill. Yeah, thank you. Even if you're working on the side, too, and we're listening to this in the background, I still appreciate you chatting and being a part of the conversation. Now, if you would give her something else, hey, you can download her character sheet off Discord after a little while, and you can play around with this. I think we're good with these skills, and we can continue to press on. You think this princess would live in a Disney musical? So instead of little birds or something, if she's in the Underdark, she'd sing to like bats and scorpions and stuff. Bunch of spiders would just run up, come down and dance with her. All right, we already have our spell casting, and we know that we have our sorcery points. So we get Font of Magic, which allows us to manipulate those points. Then we're going to get Meta Magic. And we are going to, by level 20, we're going to have 3 Meta Magics. They used to be feats in older editions. I'm sorry, 4. 4, 4, 4. Given her personality, what kind of meta magic would she develop? You know, if the magic is a part of her and we've already explored who she is, how would she manifest her identity through her spells? Fat Jesus is saying subtle spell. When you cast a spell, you spend a sorcery point to cast it without any somatic or verbal. And is that so she can be a proper lady at the snack table and still be able to, and still be able to cast her magic? Or especially as a noble, if she's taught that she's in a pinch, or maybe she has captors that have tied her up or something, that her magic can manifest, even though she can't, wiggle her fingers or whatever. I think subtle would be a good one. For a kind of a proper character. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well, well, that's even presuming that she's given the option to have suitors, as she might be. If we take a look at what kind of subclass Clockwork brings, we're going to get some additional spells. What types of spells are these? And this can also influence our meta magic too. Alarm, protection from evil and good, find traps, heat metal, counterspell, glyph of warding, arcane eye, Autoluke's resilient sphere, animate objects, and wall of force. Do these, being an intrinsic part of her, give any kind of a clue as to what she might take? I mean, careful spells, she probably doesn't have a need, at least not off the bat, to carve out, spaces and fireballs, because she might not even be casting fireball. What we might be able to do is take something like extended spell. When you cast a spell that has a duration of a minute or longer, you can spend a sorcery point to double its duration to a maximum of 24 hours. These are spells that have durations that can be maximized. Which means that if she has these protective spells up, then they can serve her well. And she may not have to, continually expend resources, or at least spell slots, if she can just pop a sorcery point into something. And so, subtle spell and extended spell, I think, are going to be her two core ones to begin with. Though we get two more. You did mention, Fat Jesus, about manipulating her suitors. There are many sorcery spells that can influence people. And as she's being raised to influence people in positive or even negative ways, Heightened Spell could very much be the imposition of her will on someone else. You will honor my family, and she's going to force a disadvantage on a saving throw against that kind of a spell. Hey, Evelyn. It doubles it to a maximum of 24. So if it normally lasts a minute, it would last 2 minutes. If it lasts 8 hours, it'll last 16. And so she may very well be able to look at people and to earn that kind of honor by forcing a disadvantage on a saving throw against something that she wants to do. And then I saw Distant was brought up a couple times as well. When you cast a spell as a range of 5 feet or greater, you can spend a sorcery point to double the range of the spell. When you cast a spell that has a range of touch, you can spend 1 sorcery point to make the range of the spell 30 feet. And if we do take that, we could reflect that in the spell choice that she'd end up with. Unless any other meta magic is coming up for discussion. Let's put Heightened. I don't know if doubling, double in general could, is useful for some things. I don't know, I don't know. Things like protection from evil and good or heat metal might benefit from a twin spell. But I don't know if that's a powerful enough argument given who she is and what she is. I could make an argument with something like Quicken Spell that her, she was trained in the use of some weapons, and so she, maybe as a self-defense, if she is able to subtle spell something into a bonus action, she can then use her action to disengage and then get out of a combat situation with her move without taking an attack of opportunity. So Quicken Spell could very much be a survival tactics technique as well. In D&D, I've not run a Minotaur Labyrinth, but I have had some maze-like areas that I have run for players. Although, for things like heat metal and whatnot, distance spell might very well work. And I don't want to be too caught up, because we can always go through and replace this if we want. And then finally, at level 20, we get our capstone of Sorceress Restoration. At 20th level, you regain 4 expended sorcery points whenever you finish a short rest. Meaning that we can burn those into spell slots if we need to after a short rest. Now let's explore the subtype, or the subclass. Clockwork Soul. A plane of utmost order, Mechanus is a realm overseen by a godlike entity called Primus, whose actions are inscrutable and calculations vast. You, or someone from your lineage, might have become entangled in one of the machinations of the leader of the Modrons. Perhaps you were exposed to an artifact created by Primus, or your ancestor took part in the Great Modron March in some way. The power of Mechanus can seem strange and alien to others, but for you, it is a part of a vast and glorious system that others can't comprehend. At your option, you can pick from or roll on the Manifestations of Mechanus table to create a way your connection to the plane manifests while you're casting a spell. Ivalon, will you please roll a d6 in chat? !roll space 1d6. But also a good band. Yes, do not play tic-tac-toe with Primus. Alright, we might have lost Ivalon. How about a nice game of chess? She is proficient in chess, right, Cold Spark? Death. Death, will you roll a d6 in chat, please? Oh, you saw Primus open for Tool? I bet that was a hell of a concert, Fat Jesus. Got a 4. I don't understand the comment of if it's okay, Chill Panda. Can you explain that? But if you need help on designing a labyrinth, myself and others in our mentor chat on our Discord would be able to help you out with that. So rolled a 4. Our manifestations. Number 4. Your features become unnaturally angular, like geometric objects, or PS1 era Resident Evil. No, I'm just. So when we cast magic, our polygon count drops on our character. Hey, the PS1 couldn't help it, right? You play with the cards that you're dealt. You do try to catch the 3Ms Megadeth, Metallica, and Maiden. Oh, if only Macabre Derek were here. Alright, Clockwork Magic. You learn additional spells when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown on the Clockwork spells table. Each spell counts as a sorcerer spell for you, but it doesn't count against the number of sorcerer spells you know. These spells can't be replaced when you gain a level in this class. And so these are going to act kind of like Oath spells for paladins, Domain spells for clerics, and Circle of the Land spells for or for druids. So here we have our Clockwork. Like Clockwork. We're going to get Alarm and Protection from Evil and Good. Find Traps. Heat Metal. Counterspell. Glyph of Warding. Arcane Eye. Autoluke's Resilient Sphere. Animate Objects. And Wall of Force. Restore Balance. Your connection to the plane of absolute order allows you to equalize chaotic moments. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you is about to roll a d20 with advantage or disadvantage, you can use your reaction to prevent the roll from being affected by advantage and disadvantage. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, minimum 1, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. If she loses polygons, will she become a block eventually? I guess if you want to flavor it like some kind of a curse or something. Oh, wow. That's I'm not a music aficionado, but that sounds like that would have been an amazing experience for you to have a big concert like that so close by. All right, so we can restore balance, charisma per long rest. An interesting feature to just be able to remove advantage or disadvantage. The Bulwark of Law. You can imbue a creature with a shimmering shield of order. As an action, you can expend 1 to 5 sorcery points to create a magical ward around yourself or another creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The ward lasts until you finish a long rest or until you use this feature again. The ward is represented by a number of d8s, equal to the number of sorcery points spent to create it. When the warded creature takes damage, it can use its reaction to spend a number of those dice, roll them, and reduce the damage taken by the total of the spent dice. Ooh. Now, do you all see what's happening here? We have a Conjuration Bard we started with, an Enchantment Cleric, although it was changed from Love Enchantment into more of an Abjuration with Unity, and now we have an Abjuration Sorcerer. No, Chill Panda, it says you can expend 1 to 5 sorcery points. And as it can only exist on one creature at a time, because if you use the feature again, it'll fall off. Yeah, in fact, for any of you that are curious, if we come up here, you can download this Unearthed Arcana for free through the PDF that's down here, and you can follow along if you'd like. Kromdrade, the carnal flaw fits opposite the ordered magic. Feels are foreign and fascinating. So she might, she might look for a little bit of something else, or she might, as we're talking about angles and geometry, she might love nothing more than round shapes. An apple, to feel a round apple in her hands might even give her kind of a taboo thrill, because this is something that does break the order. That's a good observation, Kromdrade. Thank you for bringing that up. Next, we're going to get Trance of Order. You gain the ability to enter a state of Clockwork consciousness as a bonus action. For the next minute, attack rolls against you can't benefit from advantage, and whenever you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. Once you use this action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, or until you spend 5 sorcery points to use it again. So this does help make us more survivable and nimble on the battlefield. And lastly, Clockwork Cavalcade. You summon spirits of order to restore balance around you. As an action, you summon the spirits in a 30-foot cube originating from you. The spirits look like Modrons or other constructs of your choice. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable, work fast and efficiently, and create the following effects within the cube before vanishing. The spirits restore up to 100 hit points divided as you choose among any number of creatures of your choice in the cube. Any damaged objects entirely in the cube are repaired, or every spell of 6th level or lower ends on creatures and objects of your choice in the cube. Once you use this action, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest, or until you expend 7 sorcery points to use it again. This is certainly an epic level ability, and I love the versatility in it because it can be used in downtime or roleplay, as well as in fierce combat moments. It very much can be a fickle god, such as that. And, by creating characters like this, Chill Panda, it can have us question concepts of order, law, chaos, things that we would assign to, one of the personality traits of alignment. All right, so congratulations. We built the chassis of our character. She's a beauty and looks a lot like this Tesla truck that was put out. But you know what? I guess she's very popular, and will become very famous very quickly for people who know and see her. Maybe we can fit Tesla in her name somewhere. Hey, I'm not saying it doesn't, Fat Jesus. I'm just saying that, we designed, we made the chassis for our character, and it looks like the Cybertruck, and now we got to drop the engine into it. And the engine in this case is going to be the ability scores. I mean, it's either that or you want her to look like Princess Zelda from Ocarina of Time. Everyone kind of has, scoop hands, and, as a noble, you can do the royal wave that way. All right. Not just because she is a sorcerer. Part of it is that. Though primarily, I think the 15 goes in charisma because she has been brought up to be charismatic, to express herself in all manner of ways. Charisma is going to be high for her. Yeah, so chill when you do, because we're gonna make a second character after a break. Let me know what you want to roll, and then you'll have dibs on that roll. Now from here, that's our 15. We have 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. I do not see strength as being a strong suit for her. Hey, Corrida, it's been a while. Welcome back. I hope you've been well. As she has been taught combat arts by her parents and her royal family, dexterity is probably also going to be rather high. Since she has learned, and that could come into play also for things like dancing and some other things. Not just a charismatic application. I think she absolutely has been given an education. Though, I wonder, how about this? We're already going to get a 2 from her being an elf. What if we, as a sorcerer, we have Constitution proficiency on the saving throw. What if her body has been reinforced by this sorceress gift? What if we actually give her a big stack of hit points and a high Constitution? And perhaps as a drow, she's had to go through some poison resistance training as well. Not just as a drow, but as a noble. What if we put the 14 in Constitution? What if we put the 13 in Dex, the 12 in Intelligence, and the 10 in Wisdom? Elsa Tesla, you want to call her? Esla from the House of Tesla. And hey, Mom 70s. Esla from House Tesla. Or in this case, she's no longer a set of numbers. We have them distributed here. What if it's House Esla, and there's some kind of a naming convention where, every generation, how you have a name and then it's like junior, the second, the third. What if her name is Esla? And of course then, if this is through the mom or the dad or whatever, that would make her mom like Cesla. Things along, now of course the Elven alphabet or whatever for Drow, that could be a fun play on words as well. So she could be Esla of House Esla. And that way people know, and especially if families first, she is a small part in a large family in this case. That would mean that, the first daughter that she bears would be like Uesla kind of a thing. Yes, you did mention that, Corrida. And so, Mom 70s, thank you for that suggestion. She is but a small cog in the machinations of Drow hierarchy. Yeah, how's that going for you, Corrida? You want to name her Polly Gons? The 32nd of House Bits. All right, if we add in her racial modifiers, that's a 15 Dex and a 16 Charisma. And we come over here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to get to add 10 points. We're going to get to add 10 points to her stats here. And I think we can agree that safely she is a charming little thing, and use 4 of those to bring charisma up to 20. From here, I kind of want to bring her constitution up. If we put 4 points, in constitution, that's going to give her an excellent source of hit points, and she's going to make any concentration throws that might come her way. Now, what this could mean, we have 2 points left over. If we add 1 to dexterity, that will get us into our next modifier of a +3, meaning that we have 1 hanging. We can still obtain a mechanical benefit if we add 1 to our strength score. So it's not completely wasted. Sure, it's not going to bring us from a -1 to a 0 modifier, but it means that we can jump a little bit further and carry a little bit more weight. So after this is what our modifiers look like. What did you realize, Corrida? Good. I'm glad that you had come to realize that, Corrida. And the only way to have done it is by experiencing it. Because myself and others, because I think we talked about this even when you first started hanging out in the channel. But now that you are away from those negative influences and the things, because I mean, Corrida, you'd come into the channel and you wouldn't be in a good mood, and things just, your life was being lived at the pace of other people who didn't seem to take an active interest in it. Now you are empowered by yourself. You're buying your own things. You're living your life. You have agency in your own life again. And that is a hell of a feeling. And I'm glad that you took that move, that opportunity to get out of a comfortable uncomfort zone, and you struck out, you started over, and you found your source of happiness. Yeah, Corrida, be happy with the progress. The end result, never be satisfied, Corrida. And I don't say that because that's like an impossible goal to happiness. Because happiness is the journey, not the destination. Never be satisfied. Always work to improve, because you can improve every day of your life until the day that you pass away. Even if it's, comfortable, surrounded by family, at age 100 on a beautiful summer night. Every day you can learn something new, you can make an impact in someone's life, you can always improve. All right, -1 strength save, -1 athletics. Dex is 3 down the line. Constitution's, ooh, look at that, 10. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Intelligence is 1, though the places where she was specifically trained are 7s. 0 down the line for wisdom, except perception, which is going to be a 6. Charisma saving throw is an 11. 11 deception, 11 persuasion, 5 intimidation, 5 performance. Passive perception is a 16, as that's 10 plus your perception modifier, and that saves you a ton of dice rolls. And it's just your natural awareness. Armor class, I don't know, she's level 20. Depending on the spells she has, magic items, that's going to be up to you if you download her and finish her off with weapons and armor or anything along those lines. Initiative is a +3, really respectable. She'll get to act more quickly than others in combat. I'm giving an average roll. Hit points. At level 1, she's going to get all 6 of her d6 hit die. The remaining 19 levels, she's going to get 4, as that's half plus 1 of her hit die. And your DM might say otherwise. Have you roll, give you max, I don't know. Then, for all 20 levels, she's going to get bonus hit points equal to her Constitution modifier. So she is going to get 80 hit points from her Constitution modifier. She is going to get... let's see, so that would normally be 80 minus 4. She's going to get 76 from her levels beyond 1. And so this is going to become 82. So she has 162 hit points at level 20. If she's attacking with a strength-based weapon, she's swinging at a +5. If she's attacking with a dex-based weapon, it's a nice respectable +9. Now, if she's attacking with a spell, that is going to be a +11. And to save against the effects of her spells, you need a 19. And on top of that, she can force you to roll at disadvantage on an already difficult 19. Ooh, if she wants you to do something, you know, she asks you to jump, you're going to ask her how high. Yeah, well, I mean, she has, you know, she's been reinforced by this, by the Modrons, or by this Clockwork presence. Maybe even her skin might have a metallic glimmer to it. I mean, represent this on your character. Just don't call it hit points. That's lame. Ask your DM, can I manifest this as something like a biosteel, like Colossus and X-Men? You know, can I manifest this like... So Jesus, you know, maybe... You know, so she's not maybe muscular, but maybe she has... Almost it looks like cords beneath her skin. And so, like, the metallic... Like the metal wires almost make up a kind of musculature, but really they're just more sturdier, can take a hit more than they can actually have a servo lifting, whatever, a tensile strength. And I mean, if you want to describe her in the 2C's thick fashion, perhaps as well, that could manifest through a high constitution or strength or charisma or whatever, as well. She's the Pokemon, oh yeah. That's the, that was the one at the end of Gen 6. Am I correct? The ballet dancer, that's a gear. She might have if you want her to have a Clockwork exoskeleton. Mechanically, nothing has changed. We're still playing mechanically as per a Drow. It just so happens that your DM has allowed you to reflavor her in some way. All right, now we come down here. She has 20 sorcery points, 19 to resist her spells, and she's casting them at a +11. And let's go back. Let's go back to being a sorcerer. And as you see, we learned 2 spells at first level. Second level, we get a 3rd, and we get a 4th spell at level 3. Now, when you level up, while this is a fixed list style of caster, you can change one spell when you level up. And also when you level up, if you learn a new spell, you don't always have to put it in the highest spell slot that you may be able to cast through. If you can cast level 8 spells, and you get another spell added, you can have it be a level 1 spell if you want, because some low level spells will allow you to cast up. For the sake of the demonstration of this, I'm simply going to put what you would get when you would get it normally. But just remember that you can retrain on levels, and she's going to have 20 of them. So this is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. At level 10, yep. Though, at level 11, she only gets 1. 11, 13, 15, 17. And if you take a look, it's on the odd levels. So there's 11, 13, 15, and then at level 17, we do not learn any more spells after that. Whoop, this should be 17. Where did I mess up? 15. Oh, that's why. 13 and 11. Ha ha ha. I'm smart. SMRT. And then we're going to get 6 cantrips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ta-da! We have made our character. I think she's fascinating. I mean, just looking at this alone, I don't know if this is necessarily overpowered. I think it works. It certainly makes sorcery points. You have a lot of decisions to make with your sorcery points. And so this would be a character for someone mechanically that is a good resource manager. On top of that, given the complex nature of who she is, as an adolescent girl coming of age, trapped in a noble house, might be forced to marry, and then even continue on this sorcerer's bloodline. So it's, you know, it's marriage, but is it a marriage out of love? Perhaps not. And so we have a girl who has been brought up in conformity, has been even bred by conformity. And yet, within her heart, you know, something that might at first have had a couple of us go, this, her character flaw, could be something that can act as a bit of a redemption, I don't want to say a redemption arc, that somehow she's morally wrong, but she carries this spark inside her. I don't just want the cold calculations of genetics and age versus whatever, fertility versus longevity versus, you know, whatever, having kids planned out on intervals and making sure that the family tree is woven in a specific way. We have a young girl who does have a heart and feelings, and her guilty pleasure is seeing other people break that and live a more carefree and, you know, and fanciful life. And sure, that could include rippling biceps and hair blowing in the wind. That could also just be, I'm tired of drinking tea like a proper lady. I want to guzzle a bottle of ale like I read about in that one book that I hid under my mattress from Mom and Dad. You know, I want to feel what it's like to have like cold milk. You know, like, because I don't want to sip or pour. I want to take a bottle of milk and just go and have fun. Fun. Kind of. I mean, if you want to play her in a similar style, like she's an android, although, actually, she wouldn't be an android. She'd be a gynoid. I can't say I've heard of Shining Resonance Refrain. Can you describe that game, Corridor? Oh, and you're gonna get a laptop? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. In fact, we're finished with the character. I'm gonna get up and take a quick little break. And when we come back, we can pop capsules if anyone wants capsules. Corridor, I can answer questions, and other people might have an answer for you too. We'll get this reset, and then we'll make our second Clockwork character. Although we're gonna turn on all the options. So we're going to have some fun with it.